Batgirl number 10, written by Gail Simone, art by Aletha Martinez. Last issue was a tie-in to Night of the Owl, so it has nothing to do with that. This issue picks up with Batgirl beating up a bunch of car thieves, and the fight's whatever, but I do like her narration throughout, which is basically her saying, like, sometimes I wonder if I'm doing more harm than good because I'm literally hospitalizing these guys when maybe they just need, some job security or social service or whatever. Basically, I feel like I'm a little bit weird being a private security force for rich people because they're just a bunch of rich people at this gala and they're just stealing these people's cars. However, and she makes the point that the car thieves have apparently some other carjackers have recently taken hostages, and therefore she's not taking any bets here on whether or not she can let these guys go. So an interesting point of whether or not she's doing the right thing, beating the crap out of people with just no jurisdiction whatsoever. So anyway, one of the guys she's beating up starts getting away. He runs his way out of a door out of this parking garage, and she gives chase, but before she can get there, she hears this guy just let out this unearthly scream, and when she opens the door, his leg is stuck in a bear trap, and it is broken in 100 places. And so she calls up an ambulance, and she's like, yeah, there's a badly wounded guy here, send an ambulance. And she just tries to talk to him, and she's like, yeah, I can't take it off, it may be the only thing stopping you from bleeding out right now, but I'm going to stay here, I'm with you. And I forget he gets the name of him, Ricky. And she's like, I'm going to stay with you, Ricky. And then these three people show up all in gowns and stuff like that, and they're like, hey, don't worry, we're security at this event. We called the police as well. They'll be arriving, but we'll take care of them. And she's like, did you set this bear trap if you're security? And they're like, no, this must have been a rival gang thing where they saw they were hitting them and then set the bear trap outside. And she's like, rival gangs don't do that. Or do they? I'm not sure. So anyway, she manages to get a little bit bullied out of this situation because they're like, you're also you're a vigilante here and we appreciate what you did, but police are coming, so maybe you might want to leave. And she's like, okay, Ricky, you're going to be okay, bye. And she leaves. And she feels bad about leaving Ricky, but, it happens. So then we cut to what this gala event all the rich people were here for. And it's a woman named Charisse Carnes, whose family was murdered in front of her. And she is using, their inheritance and stuff like that she got from them to take this low-income neighborhood and turn it into something better. To which Lois Lane, who is there at the event covering it, basically says, all you're doing is just gentrifying this area. You're kicking out all the low-income housing and stuff like that, and you are making it this horrible, this basically business park, more or less. And she doesn't say that to the face immediately, but once the interview ends, she goes up to her and she's like, hey, so what do you have to say to your critics who say this is nothing but a scheme so that people stop thinking of you as the woman who killed her family? And Lois does not let up on the fact that, it was just, she said that there were people who killed her family, but they never did find whoever was responsible. And that she's just doing this to try to separate her name from that grisly past. And Charisse then separates herself from the interview, has her security put in between the pair of them, and she just talks about the event. She's like, I was 16, I had to sit on a floor in my parents' blood, my brother's blood, it was awful. And then, her security's tearing up for her. She's like, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. The media called you horrible things. And she's like, I know, I just need a moment alone. And she steps behind this curtain, and there's a man in a cage with his eyes sewn shut. And he's like, please let me go, Charisse. And he's like, oh, I'm never going to let you go. Please, you think I'm that good. So, yeah, she's clearly crazy. Meanwhile, Barbara gets back home, and she's still feeling a little bit messed up over having left that guy, but, not a lot she could have done. But when she gets home, she realizes she hasn't seen her roommate at home in 2 days. And when she gets back, she gets a call from the roommate, who apparently got arrested at an Occupy Gotham protest. So we're really dealing with the class warfare thing going on here. So Barbara bails her out, and they go down to a cafe and get some food. And basically, the roommate, I forget her name, Alazia, whatever her name was, she basically starts railing into the gentrification stuff and how Bruce Wayne is doing the exact same thing in Batman of the Gotham Revitalization Project, where they're just taking all these people in low-income areas and just telling them, piss off, find somewhere else to live. And it works out for the rich and the elite, but it doesn't work out for the poorer class. Barbara tries to stick up for him briefly, but of course she can't reveal much. So then we go to the following night where Barbara's just going through the town, just doing her thing, and she wants to go back and find out what happened with Ricky. And I don't know if it's at the same place where it happened, but she just happens to stumble across Ricky, who is being held hostage by what is clearly the security people. I don't even know if they're trying to hide that, but they're wearing domino masks, so maybe. So anyway, they're dangling Ricky off the building, and they're just like, hey, Batgirl, as you can see, we amputated his leg, punishment fitting the crime or something like that. Anyway, we want you to join our group. We are the Disgraced, and we want you to join our group, and we're going to take care of these hoodlums and these hooligans. But yeah, join us or else he dies. And she's like, okay, so if I join you, you'll let him live? And he's like, well, not exactly. There is a test you got to pass. And she throws him off the building. Batgirl dives after Ricky. And she's like, well, you failed. Oh, well. So Batgirl tries to save him. And then this woman with giant, angel wings, so Hawkwoman, but not Hawkwoman, she kicks Batgirl and Ricky into a window. Ricky just excuses himself, just leaves the fight entirely. Batgirl starts fighting with Discount Hawkman, as she quite literally says, bargain bin Hawkman, and she ties a grapple line around so she can't fly away, and then just nails a shoryuken right into her face. But then apparently her name was Catharsis. But anyway, the rest of the Disgraced all show up, and they're like, oh, you don't understand, Batgirl. You should have joined us because of us, Gotham crime is no more. Behold our leader, Nightfall. And it's in shadow, and they're just standing behind it. But apparently Nightfall is the name of the thing. Whatever. It's kind of a crappy. I really like the ideas it's laying down in terms of the class stuff. I really like that. Art fantastic, but then you just throw it out of oh, we are a vigilante group fighting hoodlums and whatnot. And I'm like, I get it, but they're so lame looking, and only one of them, as far as I can tell, has powers. Maybe the rest of them do, but it's not a good step forward for this particular group. They might turn it around next issue, but for just this first issue, they seem kind of dumb. Overall, though, I'm going to give it a 7. I do like what it has to say. If it keeps leaning into this class stuff, I'm all for it, because there's not really a book right now that's really doing that well. So very much looking forward to that. And like I said, art was okay throughout. It wasn't the best, but it fits into the same style that the rest of the book has been. So 7 overall.